Well, Correspondent Danson Cheong joins us now to talk about these two issues. Danson, let's start off with the NCMP scheme. We've heard more opposition members come out to criticize it. Dr Tan Cheng Bock was firm in saying he'll decline the role if offered. But for context first, how many people have turned down being an NCMP?
Well, Olivia, I think we first have to look at what the NCMP scheme is. So it was started in 1984. And the main goal was to provide a diversity of voices in Parliament. And at the moment, the Constitution makes an allowance for 12 opposition members to be in Parliament. So what this means is that, for example, if you had 3 opposition candidates who were elected to Parliament, then you would have 9 NCMPs. So the number of NCMPs depends on how many opposition candidates are elected, but will not exceed 12. And if you go, going back to your question, in 1984, the first election where we saw the NCMP scheme being rolled out. In that election, the Workers' Party candidate MPD Nair turned down the NCMP seat he was offered. It was later offered to Mr. Tan Chee Kian of the Singapore United Party, who also turned it down. Fast forward to 2015. The Workers' Party, Lee Li Lian, also turned down the NCMP seat she was offered. It later passed on to Daniel Goh from the Workers' Party. So, like you mentioned, the opposition parties stand on the NCMP scheme is quite clear. The workers, they sort of tend to follow the same line, and basically, is that if you've they think that the ruling party is using the NCMP scheme to dissuade Singaporeans for voting for the opposition. And they also say that, if you've not earned the popular mandate of Singaporeans, then you don't deserve to represent them in Parliament.
Now, Danson, let's build on what you just mentioned. Do you see more candidates doing the same this time around?
To be honest, no. And let's just take the Workers' Party for example. They have a very principled stand on the NCMP scheme. But having said that, they've been very pragmatic when approaching the issue, and they've benefited from it. So for example, if you look at in 2006, when Workers' Party Chairman Sylvia Lim was offered an NCMP seat for contesting in alternate GRC, she accepted the seat. And I think in that following term of government, what happened was that she gained experience and exposure. And I think it played a big part, in setting her up, to getting Singaporeans to know her as a serious politician, which contributed in a big way to the Workers' Party winning alternate GRC in 2011. And if you notice also, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock today, he left the door open for other party members to accept the NCMP seat if they're offered one. So I think parties will take a pragmatic approach here.
Well, moving on, we've seen a few virtual rallies already from PAP, WP and SGP to name a few. In an example of another form of online outreach, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock is connecting with younger voters on Instagram stories. So, Danson, how are the parties faring in maximizing the online platform?
So I think the post that everybody is talking about now is the one where Dr. Tan is trying to explain the term hype beast to another PSP member in Teochew. Instagram is not a new social media platform. It's been a while, for a couple of years. Parties, have been quite active and savvy in using the platform. They use it to share important speeches, updates of their political rallies and how the candidates are doing on the ground. Candidates also, have been using it to sort of give voters or Singaporeans a sense of, what being on the ground is like, what the hustings feel like for them. But I think out of all the candidates, I think 2 sort of really stand out to me. The first is Speaker Tan Chuan Jin, who's been, really quite good at using it, Instagram Live, to connect with voters in a very, very direct way. And, the other person, of course, is Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, who's used it to address some sort of offbeat questions, take comments from his followers, and also challenge them to send him videos. So it's a form of sort of very, very, very direct voter engagement. I think it shows a different side of the candidate to voters. But of course, the question is whether or not this will translate to votes. I think that remains to be seen.
Now, Danson, of course, 7 parties will be taking part in the first party political broadcast tonight. Like what we saw in last night's televised debate, this kind of exposure could make or break a candidate. What can we expect?
So you're right in saying the party political broadcast start at 8 p.m. tonight, and parties that field at least 6 candidates will be allotted airtime. So the PAP, for instance, who's fielding candidates in all 93 seats, they have 13 minutes, and the Reform Party that's fielding 6 candidates has 2.5 minutes. Party leaders usually use the broadcast, to give their pitches to voters, and at the same time also, maybe hit back at other parties. But if we're talking about the debate last night, I think it's going to be a lot less dynamic. Coincidentally, Jamus Lim, after last night's debate, has gained 5,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
But I expect tonight to be a lot less dynamic than what we saw last night, but still worth watching.
Well, great insights. Thanks so much for joining us, Danson. We've been speaking to, of course, a correspondent at the Straits Times, Danson Cheong.